Tonight was President Bush's last State of the Union, and I do not believe history will judge his administration kindly. But I also believe the failures of the last 7 years stem not just from any single policy, but from a broken politics in Washington. A politics that says it's okay to demonize your political opponents when we should be coming together to solve problems. A politics that puts Wall Street ahead of Main Street, ignoring the reality that our fates are intertwined. A politics that accepts lobbyists as part of the system in Washington, instead of recognizing how much they're part of the problem.
Enough. I have had enough of Katrina survivors who are still living out of their cars and begging FEMA for trailers. I've had enough. I've had enough of being told that all we can do about this is sit and wait and hope that some good fortune trickles down on everybody else in this country. You know, we all remember George Bush back in 2000. He said he didn't believe in nation building. We didn't know he meant this nation. Now, didn't know that. Now, let me say this. I don't think that, I think George Bush loves this country. I really do. I don't think his administration is full of stupid people. The problem is not that the philosophy of this administration is not working the way it's supposed to work. The problem is that it is working the way it's supposed to work. They don't believe the government has a role in solving national problems because they think government is the problem. They think that we're better off if we just dismantle government. If, in the form of tax breaks, we make sure that everybody is responsible for buying your own health care and your own retirement security and your own child care and your own schools, your own private security forces, your own roads, your own levees. It is called the Ownership Society in Washington. But, you know, historically there's been another term for it. It's called social Darwinism. The notion that every man or woman is out for him or herself, which allows us to say that if we meet a guy who's worked in a steel plant for 30, 40 years and suddenly has the rug pulled out from under him and can't afford health care or can't afford a pension, you know, life isn't fair. It allows us to say to a child who doesn't have the wisdom to choose his or her own parents and so lives in a poor neighborhood, pick yourself up by your own bootstraps. It allows us to say to somebody who is seeing their child sick and is going bankrupt, paying the bills, tough luck. Because what we're seeing is another very different view that's taken hold in Washington and on Wall Street. The view that we can somehow thrive as a nation when those at the very top are doing better than ever while ordinary Americans are struggling to get by. Over the last 7 years, we've had an administration that serves the interests of the wealthy and the well-connected, no matter what the cost to working families and to our economy. It's an administration that didn't lift a finger while our economy rolled towards recession until the pain that people were feeling on Main Street started trickling up to their friends on Wall Street. It's an administration that's been handing out tax cuts to the wealthiest Americans who don't need them and weren't even asking for them. It's an administration that denies labor a seat at the table when trade deals are being negotiated, that doesn't believe in unions, that doesn't believe in organizing, that's packed the Labor Relations Board with their corporate buddies. That's the administration that we've been dealing with for the last 7 years.
Here's the good news. The name George W. Bush will not be on the ballot. The name of my cousin, Dick Cheney, will not be on the ballot. We've been trying to hide that for a long time. Everybody has a black sheep in the family. The era Scooter Libby justice, and Brownie incompetence, and Karl Rove politics will finally be over. And most of all, we've lost faith that our leaders can or will do anything about it. We were promised compassionate conservatism, and all we got was Katrina and wiretaps. We were promised a uniter, and we got a president who could not even lead the half of the country that voted for him. We were promised a more ethical and more efficient government. And instead, we have a town called Washington that is more corrupt and more wasteful than it was before. And the only mission that was ever accomplished is to use fear and falsehood to take this country into a war that should have never been authorized and should have never been waged. As long as there are those who can't organize or unionize or bargain for a better life, I ask you to keep marching for solidarity. As long as there are those who try to privatize our government and decimate our social programs and peddle a philosophy of trickle down and on your own, I ask you to keep marching for a vision of America where we rise or fall together as a nation.
You and Dick Cheney cousins?
You know, listen, I don't think I'm going to the family reunion. I don't know how I'll be greeted. But no, you know, these folks have been doing all these genealogies on me, and
Right.
You know, they've found all sorts of strange connections.
This has got to be the strangest, though.
Well, listen, if you go back far enough,
Yeah.
you know, you got all kinds of crooks and thieves in your family. I'm not necessarily drawing that analogy.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you don't know who's back there.